This video is a review of some construction techniques. Also, just kind of an interesting part. It has a lot of radius corners and so forth. So one thing I would tell you is save the radius corners till you get the object mostly drawn, and go in and add the fillets to those corners. So let's just start. What I'm going to do is start with the square, because this from there to there is 3, from there to there is 3. I'm just going to use that as my base point. So I'm just going to draw a 3 by 3. Huh, that's not it. There we go. 3 by 3 square, and I'll start there. If you want to kind of get your bearings there, one thing you can do is just go ahead and draw those circles on the corners, and each of those is a 1/2 inch diameter, so I have it on circle, comma, diameter. Oops, not 3.5. Okay, where do we go from here? Well, we notice that this 1/2 inch typical, that means wherever you see these offsets, they're going to be 1/2 inch. That one's also marked. You can tell. So let's just go ahead and do an offset of 0.5 on each of those. Again, because this is kind of an amorphous shape, it doesn't have any defined outer structure. I mean, it's all pretty circular. The easiest way to do that is build it kind of from the inside out. Let's see. So, oh, oops, that's the wrong. Let's reevaluate those. So that's a 1/2 inch, but these here are kind of in the center there. Let's look at that. There's a 2.5 inch square there, and we know that that's 3, so that means there's going to be a 1/4 inch from the center line of there to a 1/4 inch. Center line there is 1/4 inch. So my offset actually needs to be 0.25. Sorry, so 0.25 over 2.5 out, and that'll give you that 1/2 inch. There we go. Now, you're going to get a lot of lines on the paper at any time. If you start to feel you got too much going on, then just come in and delete some of them. If we draw these little circles here, and those are something we're going to need to deal with. Let's go ahead and do those. Those are 1/4 inch circles. I can use that midpoint tool. It's turned on my object snap. So see the triangle? So all I got to do is put that circle in there. So it's locating them is pretty simple. Or if you need to, just do some offsets. With that in mind, I think I can actually just get rid of these. Those are just construction lines. Let's keep the rest for now. So what else do we need to do here? Let's look at this, creating this structure here. So that's a 1.5 inch radius, and it's off of that same center. So let's just go ahead now. I'm going to draw a circle. If it's a 1.5 radius, it's going to be a 3 inch diameter, and I'll do the same thing here. Right, that's going to be the outside part of that. Here I've got these, and that's a radius. Now it's rounded off, but it's 1.125 from that same center. So I can do the same thing there. Oops. Let me redo that one. Have to double it. It's 2.5 diameter because it's a 1.125 radius. So you'll know when you draw it if it's not right. Now again, don't panic. We're gonna have to do some cleanup work here in a minute. And now might be the time to start doing some trimming. So let's go ahead and select everything as a cutting edge, hit enter, and let's see what we can get rid of here. Now the bad news is, oops, start off on the wrong foot. The bad news here is that if you trim a bunch of stuff off that's wrong, you just have to go back and redo it. Just hit the undo button. It's not the end of the world, right? So let's see. Oops, start that over. Trim, hit enter. All right, what do we want to get rid of? Let's define, let's get rid of these. We definitely don't need those. Sometimes it's just, oops. So see what I'm talking about? I'm gonna keep rolling here because I can come back and fill that back in pretty easy. So it's just a matter of clearing your head so you can see what you got to work with. Now remember, you can't trim everything. You're gonna have to erase some stuff. That one I'll just extend that back over because I'm lazy. Okay. Let's see, what else can we trim? I got a little better picture now. I'm gonna come back in and do some more trimming. Get rid of those. Now, if stuff won't trim, that's just telling you you're gonna have to come in and erase it. Oh yeah, I remember that one. I goofed that one up. All right, let's just erase those little pieces there. One more. Okay, before I go any farther, I probably should have went ahead and did those, but let's put these, if you notice there's these 1/2 inch radius humps kind of on here. So that would make that, if it's a 1/2 inch radius, it's a 1 inch diameter. So we're using those, make sure your object snaps on. Using those same centers, those are going to be 1 inch diameter. It's really how much do you want to see on the screen? Sometimes that's really what it is. How much can you tolerate? Because you can have too much stuff shown here as well. All right, so let's do a little more trimming. Try to get closer to our finished shape here. I need to leave I need to leave that corner. I just realized I can come back and fix that. All right, that's what I want to see on those corners. All right, so that one I need to fix. I messed up that corner, so I can just do, I'll show you a little trick here with fillet. If you use a fillet tool, hit R, and then make the fillet radius 0. If you click on two lines that don't intersect, it'll create an intersection for them. Okay, and also here I did the same thing, huh? Well, I think I learned my lesson. So same thing, fillet, R, enter, 0, enter, and that'll create corners there. Or you can extend in both directions as well. So I should have the overall shape. Now these corners look pretty abrupt, but once we fillet them, it should be okay. I think I've got everything on there. Now I need to go and do my fillets. So pay attention because you have a bunch of different radii on these. Let's start with this. Let's get this one taken care of. And you'll notice the radius there is 1/4 inch. So we'll go to fillet, R, enter, 0.25, enter. Click on those two. Oops, let's try again. R, enter, 0.25, enter. There we go. spacebar, continue, spacebar, click on the 2 lines, and you notice I'm putting a fillet on. This is actually a radius that I'm putting a fillet on, so that looks good. Okay, let's do these insides. So those are 0.125. They're rounded off. So there's these insides. So go to fillet, R, enter, 0.125. Oops, 0.125. Enter, and then click on the pair of lines. Spacebar. Click on those 2 lines. Spacebar, and so forth. Enter. That looks good. Now we've got these corners here. None of these are sharp corners. You'll see they're all rounded off. And here's the dimension. There's 8 of them, 0.375. So if we count here, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that'll be easy enough. Fillet, R, enter, 0.375, enter, and then we'll just go around and click on those. And oh shoot, hit the space bar. In between, make sure you hit the space bar. I hit a key instead of the space bar. So we should be okay. Yeah, the radius is already set, so you shouldn't have to change it each time. Once you set it once, it'll default back to that one until you change it again. And again, I'm hitting space bar and clicking on each pair of lines. And then enter. And there is our finished shape. So that's just kind of a unique little project. Again, I always look for some way to get a rectangular, at least some construction lines to get started if possible. If not, we've seen other ones where you just start with a center line and you build it off the center line. Lots of different ways to use that, and how to use circles to create radius instead of trying to draw. There is an arc tool, but it's kind of cumbersome actually. You're way easier just drawing the circles and then trimming them back to